Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gary Baumgarten, but I expect you already know that, and I welcome you to this discussion on Facebook Live, on paltalk.com, and on YouTube. Well, we all know that the rules have changed when it comes to dating during the pandemic. I mean, do we even date in person any longer? Do we kiss? Do we become intimate? If we become intimate, how do we do that? It's all changed. But who's the expert? Who could tell us about this? Well, I go to my old friend Samantha Daniels, who is a matchmaker here in New York City, for the answers. Samantha, welcome to this discussion on Facebook Live, paltalk.com, and on YouTube.
Thanks, Gary. Good to see you.
Good to see you. It's been a while. I think the last time I saw you, we bumped into each other at a party. I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember that. That was a long time ago, but I've known you for a million years from Pal Talk.
Yes, a million years. So what do we do these days? First of all, I remember when you used to do your show on Pal Talk. And of course, since you were talking to people on the internet, they always said, well, is it okay to meet somebody over the internet? Is it okay to date people over the internet? And you always said it's okay to meet over the internet, but for it to be a real romance, you have to make it real. You have to, sooner rather than later, meet face to face. Otherwise, it doesn't count. But today, I'm seeing that more and more people are seeking companionship online as opposed to in person because they're afraid to be up close and personal with others.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, because of COVID-19 and because of this whole pandemic, people are looking for a new normal in dating. They have to. And so they can't just meet right away because it's not safe. And the dating rules are certainly changing. They have to. So people have to get with the program. So yes, back in the day, I used to say to you that it's always okay to meet somebody online, but the faster you can meet them face to face and have that in-person connection, the better it's going to be. But in today's world, unfortunately, that can't happen right away. So what I'm advising single people to do is to start meeting online through a Zoom conversation, through FaceTime, through anything that they can get their hands on, Skype, whatever it is, just to get the ball rolling, because we don't know how long this all is going to go on. And it could be 3 months, it could be another 6 months, it could be another year. And for a single person, it is devastating to not be able to date and to not be out there meeting people. So you've got to do the best you can and do what you can do.
Of course, the problem when you meet people online is you have to be very careful in that the person may not be in your environment. It's different if you go to the local pub, even if you go to your church, an ice cream social, and you meet somebody, or in the line at the grocery store. That's somebody who lives in your community. But now, if you meet somebody online, they could be in another state, they could be in another country, they could be on another continent. So getting it to go to the next level is even more daunting. That is presuming that we clear things up soon enough that we can take it to the next level.
Well, a lot of the apps that are out there, they have filters, and so you can specify your own city and you can specify within a certain number of miles from where you live and that sort of thing. So I would 100% recommend that you try to find somebody who lives as close as possible to you at this point, because regular public transportation is iffy, and certainly planes right now are iffy. So it's easier. I was just on the phone, just an hour ago, with a potential new client, and he was talking to me about the fact that the last woman that he was dating was in Texas and he's in New York. And now he's saying, well, what do you think I should do this time? I said, well, if I'm going to be setting you up through my matchmaking company, through Samantha's Table, that he is going to have to be open to meeting just here. And that's what he should do, because I want to make it as easy as possible for him. So you start online, you use the right filters on these dating apps so you can find people nearby to you. And chances are there are going to be a lot of people who are near you. You get to know them slowly, you chit chat with them, you do FaceTimes with them, you can even have video dates with them, which is romantic and interesting. And then when you feel comfortable, you have to broach the subject of social distancing, how you're being safe. Are you wearing a mask? How are you socializing? How are you getting food? Are you taking public transportation? All of those things, so that you can make a determination if you're comfortable meeting that person. I host a webinar every Sunday night. It's called Date Debate. I do it on Zoom, actually. And a lot of times, every single week, for the most part, people just want to talk about dating during COVID. And one big topic that's come up a lot is if you're not compatible when it comes to COVID, and if you're not compatible in terms of how you're staying safe and how you're social distancing, is that an indicator that you're not compatible for your whole life? And I thought that that was a really interesting question. I've actually dedicated 2 full date debates to it because people really wanted the answer to that question. And I think that what you have to do with that is that you have to take it under advisement. So you have to figure out, okay, well, if we're not compatible that way, I'm taking it under advisement that we might not be compatible completely, and just keep getting to know the person. But what I tell everyone is that you have to be comfortable with what you're doing. So if you are very, very cautious in all of this and very, very nervous, and it's important to you that the other person wear a mask, it's important to you that they're not dating a million people, it's important to you that they're constantly watching out and staying 6 feet away and all of that, then you have to speak your truth and tell people that. And if you meet somebody and they're at the opposite end of the spectrum, then they might not be for you. But you have to, some people will say, well, I'm just not comfortable with it, so I'm not doing anything. But I don't think that's either. That's extreme. You start out slowly, you start to people, you see if you have a connection, and if you do, then you decide how you're going to take it to the next level.
So let's presume that I have this checklist, and I know this sounds very sterile and unromantic, and I'm hitting check, 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 and all the above looks good. Maybe there's 1 or 2 on the negative side, but let's say if it's a checklist of 12, 10 of them are on the positive side. And now we're both feeling comfortable with meeting each other face to face. But do you really get face to face? It used to be the question is, well, how many dates before you kiss? How many dates before you get intimate? But do you even get to that point? Do you feel comfortable kissing a person? If you do become intimate, the old joke or the new joke is the man and the woman are in bed and they're getting ready to do it. And she says, wait, did you bring protection? And he says, oh, yes. And he reaches, and instead of pulling a condom, he puts a mask on.
Right. No, it's definitely daunting. It's definitely a scary situation, and people don't know the answer to that. And a lot of people ask me that question because from the moment this all started, I started getting hundreds and hundreds of emails from single people who are asking me, well, what do I do? How do I date? I can't lose all this dating time. I really want to meet my partner. I really want to start a family. I really want to be with somebody. What do I do? And of course, I don't know exactly. I mean, I can only give you my best advice, but I think that, again, it's on a case-by-case basis. And if you connect with somebody, you have to have a very open and honest conversation about what you're going to do. So the first time you get together, you both decide jointly that you're both wearing a mask. And then you get together with them. If there's some chemistry and you're getting together again, then maybe the next time you don't wear a mask, but you're in conversation after that about how you're being safe and how you're protecting yourself and how you're protecting those around you, so that the next time you get together and you don't wear a mask, you feel comfortable that the person's behaving. Now, of course, you don't know for sure what they're doing, and so every time is a risk. But if you're feeling comfortable with the person and you feel that you should trust them and you're getting to know them, at some point, you're going to have to make the determination that you can take it to the next step and the next step. And at this point, it used to be that you wouldn't have sex unless somebody was being monogamous with you. For a lot of people, they say, well, I'm not having sex with someone unless they're only having sex with me. But in this pandemic, a lot of people are saying to me that they don't even want to be kissing somebody unless that person is only kissing them. And that's a very that's crazy, because in this day and age, especially with dating apps, people date a lot of people, and people date and kiss a lot of people. I mean, kissing is kissing. I mean, it used to be that people would just kiss hello. Forget about making out kiss. People would just kiss each other hello and shake each other's hands and just act normal. And now you can't do any of that. So it's a definite new normal in everything, and specifically a new normal in dating. So it really just has to be that you have to be true to yourself, make sure you understand what you're comfortable with and what you're not, and be strong enough and confident enough that if you interact with somebody and your gut is that they're not being responsible, or they're not being responsible the way you want them to be, then you have to move on to someone else, because otherwise it's never going to work.
The guest is matchmaker Samantha Daniels, and as she mentioned, she does these seminars on Zoom, which I presume are open to the public. And if you'd like, when this is over, I'll put a link in the comments below, both on Facebook and on YouTube, so people can.
Yeah, so it's on Zoom, and it's called Date Debate, and it's every Sunday night at 8:30. You can go to my website, which is samanthastable.com, and there's actually a link to Date Debate right there that you can click through to sign up for it. They're free webinars that I'm offering. And I'm offering something else also, which is called Get Real, Get Married, and it's a very intensive class for women, a webinar class, a 3-week master class that I'm offering for women who, during this time period when dating's kind of slow, that they've decided that they want to get into the best dating shape of their life. So by the time they get back out there again, they're really ready to meet the one. So if anybody out there is very serious about wanting to meet the one and becoming a great dater, my Get Real, Get Married webinar is also on my website that you can check it out. You can always find everything about me on Instagram, Samantha Daniels Official.
Maybe I'll pretend to be a woman and join that one, so I know what women are thinking. That's a smart thing for a guy to do. So this causes me to ask the following question, Samantha Daniels, and that is, because of these concerns, and I know we're talking about people who may want to get out there and start dating, but what about people who are in relationships and maybe one of the partners is a player? Maybe now this is good for the relationship because they're not going to be, well, as you said, we won't say screwing around necessarily, but they won't be kissing around any longer because they're afraid to do so as well. So maybe this helps solidify budding relationships.
Well, one of the things that I've been hearing is that people are getting into more serious relationships more quickly right now. People are looking for monogamy because it's safer. And so whereas prior to all of this, single people really took their time dating around, dating a lot of people, making sure they're the one, throwing back somebody who has 80% of the things that they're looking for because they're looking for 100% perfect. Today people are being less cautious to get into the relationship. So they're being more cautious to be careful about COVID, but I feel like they're being less cautious about jumping into a real relationship, jumping into monogamy, jumping into a one-on-one situation, because people are lonely and people feel very alone and people are scared and people just feel desperate that they just want to be with someone, and not desperate in a negative way, just desperate in a way that they want to be with someone. It's lonely. It's lonely even when you're married and when you have children and whatever, because you can't see as many friends as you used to. You can't go out socializing. Most people aren't going to their office anymore. They're not doing anything. So you're not seeing anybody. So that's the problem. So you're craving companionship, you're craving interaction. And so if you at least are in a relationship, you would have at very least that. So I think that people are, they want to get together with somebody. They really do.
But let's be honest, nobody, well, with the exception of me, of course, is going to be 100% what a person wants.
No, of course not. I have what I call the 85% rule. And my 85% rule is that if you find somebody who's 85% of the things that you're looking for, that you should be running, not walking to the altar, because 85% is a lot. But the problem with a lot of overachievers, and my clients are these very successful, very wealthy, accomplished people, they have very high expectations and they're perfectionists. And so even when they have 85%, they throw 85% back because they think that they can get 95%. They think they can get 100%. But then when they go fish again, all they get is another 85%, a different 85%, but just 85%. And that's always what happens. So it's really a circumstance where, you have to be realistic in who you're looking for and what the relationship is all about. And I do feel like people are being more realistic today than they have been in the past because they want a relationship so badly. So that's, really what's happening today. So the one silver lining in all of this is that I think that a lot of couples are coming out of this, or people are learning whether or not they can be with somebody. So it's a quick in and out, because once you're with somebody, you're really spending quite a lot of time with them. You might be moving in with them, or you might be, spending a lot of time just doing things with them constantly. And so very quickly you can figure out, is this person for me or is this person not for me? So I think that part's good.
What's very fascinating, as folks know, we tried to get Samantha Daniels on a couple weeks ago. There were some technical problems. That's why we switched back to Zoom, because we ran into this problem not only with you, with the other program, Samantha, but with several other people. And Zoom seems to be working just fine. But I have to tell you, for this particular conversation, there was a pent-up expectation, because this really affects a lot of folks, and they were saying there was a lot of disappointment that we couldn't get you on the first time.
Oh, thank you. No, I mean, it's an important topic. I mean, that's why, I started doing my date debate. And when I do my date debate, I get somewhere between 500 and 1,000 people coming to it every Sunday night, because they're really interested in having this conversation. It's on everybody's mind, so I give advice and I talk about what I think they should do and they shouldn't do. And they ask me for advice. They give me specific circumstances, but then the people really help each other also. And I think there's a lot of camaraderie in that people feel like, I'm going through this, but so are a lot of other people. Because as I said at the top, nobody really knows what to do. I mean, nobody who we know right now, none of our contemporaries have ever been through anything like this. And so we're all just trying to figure it out, and back in January and February, we were living the high life. We were going out, we were doing our things, we were eating restaurants. We never thought that anything like this would ever happen. And now we're, 4.5, 5 months in almost, and we're not doing anything. I mean, I've done next to nothing. I'm married, but I have a toddler. So that's a whole nother thing. So I need to stay very, very safe for her, and for us, because they say that it doesn't really affect children. But when you're a mom and you have a small child and she can't even wear a mask yet, you don't really know, because my feeling is every single day they're saying something different about the situation, what's safe, what's not safe, who isn't safe, who's passing it, who's not passing it every single day. And you just don't know. So it's the same thing with the dating situation. You're just trying to figure it out, and you're just trying to find somebody and not stymie your whole life. Because if this goes on for another 18 months, then 2 years of your life went by where you're alone, and nobody wants to be alone. At the end of the day, I say Noah's Ark was 2 by 2, and people are intended to be with someone. So I think that that's how people really feel. And so you mentioned earlier, well, a Playboy. There's a lot of Playboys out there. There's a lot of girls who run around, all of that. But that's really because it's fun, or because they think it's fun. But eventually, I think that it's in everyone's DNA to want to be with someone. So this is life right now, and we all have to figure it out, and the single people have to figure it out too, and figure out how it's going to happen. So
I'm anticipating there are going to be a lot of comments, especially on the Facebook timeline, where I get most of my feedback on this. And what's going to be nice is I also anticipate there are going to be a lot of different opinions, but they won't be shouting at one another, because we're not talking about Trump, Biden, and all of that. And so we can put some of that aside and talk about something in a more urbane manner, I guess is the word I'm looking for, than we do when we discuss other things. Samantha Daniels, you're always a delight to have on. And as this progresses, just like you said, the rules about the disease are changing. Maybe the rules about dating are going to change between now and a couple months from now. And if that happens, we'll have you back on.
Okay, great. No, it was great to be here, and I hope to see some of your followers on some of my programming, and I'm happy to come talk about it anytime. And next time you should do it as a Facebook Live, because then I
So
can.
we're live. We're live.
But I can't see any of the comments, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know why. Sometimes, oh, you mean just, well, we'll talk about that. That's a technical issue. So as I like to say at the end of all of our conversations, everybody be safe and peace out.
Yes. Be safe, date safe, meet safe, love safe. See you later.